need this, that there are people that are doing this to us. There are community gatherings focused on earth-centered spirituality and self-transformation through dance, yoga, film, and art. The Earth Council seeks to replace the Ten Commandments. What are we talking about? Right over here. With the Earth Charter, a golden rule guide for how the masses should treat the environment. This is their God. What is our God? What does it say? The Ten Commandments in Exodus 20. No other gods before me. What is their God? The environment. According to the environmentalists, man's use of fossil fuels results in too much atmospheric carbon dioxide, CO2. Don't like the picture. Thus causing excessive warming and melting of the polar ice caps. Lost anybody yet? It is junk science. Look it up. It is junk. But what do we read and what do we hear on the radio, on the newspaper, all over the place? And unfortunately, our representatives and senators are in the same boat. How can that be? Don't you care about polar bears dying off in Canada? Did I mention that? Did you talk about that? Isn't that a cutie? That is my favorite. But he is cute too, or she. But are they? Are they? Yes or no? Who's for yes? I am. Am I the only one? Who's for no? Okay, I'll join you. Yes and no. Now the fact. There is my favorite one. 11 of the 13 regions in Canada show an increase in polar bear population. 11 out of 13. 2 show a decrease. 11 show an increase. If you read some other articles, you hear some different numbers. So it varies. So it depends where it is coming from. Okay, the same thing in Colorado. We have several herds of big horn sheep. One in Georgetown, another one in Strontius Springs, and some other, the dam, and some other locations. A disease affects them, and some herds are dying, and some are increasing. Al Gore was asked by a reporter, what about the polar bears? Are they endangered? What does that have to do with global warming? In the 1600s, we lost the dodo bird. Was that because of global warming? No, overhunting. In the 1600s, we lost the moa bird in New Zealand. Was that because of global warming? No, overhunting. It could be that the fish that we overfished and the seals had nothing to eat, so the seals are not there, so that the polar bears had nothing to eat in that particular location. Does that have anything to do with global warming? Apparently, and I do not have a reference to it, I understand that the population of the polar bears in Canada have increased from 20 to 25 to 40,000. No reference, I've heard that, I might be wrong. This is kind of cute, it is a little bit hard to see because it is small. Liv Arnson, a disciple of Al Gore. Here she is, from Norway. Left Ward Island, Canada, an island in Canada, March 2007 to take photographs of melting ice in the polar region. 3 days later, she returned because of there she is. Where was the global warming? This is just. What about polluted lakes? And dead fish? Well, we had a drought in Colorado, and they had to drain Jackson Lake in Colorado, that is near Sterling. And when they lowered the water in order to use it for irrigation, for something like that, all the carp died. That is not global warming. That is just local. What about noxious air in the third world cities? Actually, we don't have to go that far. Go to Mexico City. Go to Guatemala. Go to Beijing and Shanghai. Last month, I went to Montreal, and I stopped over in Newark, and I spoke to a person that was buying dye to color things in China. And he said he has been going to China back and forth for the past 20 years. 20 years ago, where he was in Beijing or Shanghai, there were almost exclusive bicycles. The air was unbelievable. Right now, there are many, many cars. The air is much, much cleaner. That is just from the person. Don't you remember Denver's brown cloud? We have Denver with a brown cloud, and we have maybe Los Angeles, and we have Shanghai, and we have, but in between we have thousands of miles. In between we have a local pollution. That is not what Al Gore is talking about. He's talking about global. All in between, from Denver, maybe to Houston, maybe to Mexico City, maybe to Guatemala. All that stuff. Global. This is local. It goes without saying that dirty air and water cannot be tolerated. Any disagreement? What Al Gore is addressing is global climate change. Global climate change. From the North Pole to the South Pole, from east to west. Yes, we have pockets.